What is up, guys, and welcome back to another Discord bot tutorial video. So in this video we're going to be doing something a little bit different. It's to do with more hosting like your Discord bot on various different ways. So like the first way we did it was obviously using a VPS, right? But what if you can't afford a VPS, right? Like, you know, like there's a lot of people who's probably watching this video and, you know, like they might not have the necessary needs to run a VPS, right? It's going to cost a lot monthly, right? It's a subscription-based service. So, like I did say in the VPS video that I will provide other methods to host a Discord bot, and here we are. So, like, we're going to do like another way of hosting a Discord bot, and this way, you know, it's decent, right? As you can see here, we have a Raspberry Pi here. So what we're going to try and do is host a Discord bot on this thing right here. So this is a Raspberry Pi Model 3B. Honestly, like not the best of like the models out there that I could use for this video, but it still works. So obviously, like you can go for the Raspberry Pi Model 4, and I don't know if there's a Model 5 yet. Maybe it's out, maybe I don't, you know, like I'm not really versed into what the Raspberry Pi lineup is, but yeah, that's a Raspberry Pi Model 3B, and I've got this like nice little case for it. I do want to give a nice shout out to Joel, Fire of Thieves, in my Discord server. So shout out to him for lending me this Raspberry Pi, because like he already bought the Raspberry Pi 4, I think. So he was just like, do you want this Raspberry Pi, 3? And then I was like, yeah, sure, I'll have it. Maybe it'll be useful. And it's just been sitting there for a year now, so I haven't used it for like pretty much more than a year. And yeah, we're finally going to put this thing to good use. So we have that. So like, as you can see, it's got a HDMI output there. So what I'm going to do is, like obviously for this video, I'm going to be connecting it to my capture card in my PC down there. I've got a little HDMI cable down there that's obviously going to route to the capture card input in my PC there, and that's how I'm going to show you the output of the Raspberry Pi on my PC there. So like so as you can see, it's recording on OBS. And then if I switch to Raspberry Pi, then you'll see I've got this setup here. So that's all going to be cool. And then, like, as you can see, like on the side, so like on the side, it's got some like Ethernet ports for internet, and then it's got 4 USB ports. And then if we flip the thing over, then as you can see, there is an input for an SD card slot. So that's why, as you can see, I've bought an SD card here. So this is a SanDisk Extreme 128 gig version. It's more than enough, honestly. Like you don't need a lot of storage to run a Discord bot. And then obviously I have a keyboard here because obviously I can't use my main keyboard to connect it to the Raspberry Pi because it's a separate, you know, PC, right? You know, like a Raspberry Pi is basically like a separate system, right? Like it's got its own CPU, it's got its own RAM, right? So, and obviously like you can like hook up a mouse to it if you want. So yeah, man, like that's the Raspberry Pi 3. That's the setup that we're going to be using. So now we need to set up the Raspberry Pi, right? So we need to set up this SD card right here to have some sort of operating system on it, right? So that we can use it on the Raspberry Pi and then install our Discord bot on it and like do everything that we need. So let's get started on that. All right, guys. So like the first thing that you want to do is first of all insert your SD card into your computer. So like so right now I've just got like a little like USB reader. Let me just plug my card reader in and it should just come up. There we go. So let's just check if everything's okay. Yeah, so now that we've got the SD card installed, it's all ready to use pretty much. So the next thing that you guys need to do is download something called the Raspberry Pi Imager. So what I'm going to do is show you guys that. So I've got a Firefox window here. So let's search up Raspberry Pi Imager. So there we go, Raspberry Pi OS. So this is the tool that we need to write a sort of image OS file onto our SD card. And then once we plug the SD card into our Raspberry Pi and boot it up, it should just boot up normally. So it's all sort of set up for us, right? So we need to download this Raspberry Pi Imager. So make sure you go to this website, press download for Windows. So I need to write it to my H drive. Okay, so I need to, you know, bear that in mind. So let's search up my Raspberry Pi Imager. So there we go. I already have it installed. So let's press yes to do that. Like there is a newer version of the image. Okay, yep, let me just download that real quick and then we'll be right back. So like this is the main sort of startup screen that they should get. So you have 3 options here: Raspberry Pi device, choose your operating system, and then choose the storage. So obviously my Raspberry Pi is a Model 3B, so let's pick that. So look, so like it seems like there is a Raspberry Pi 5. Okay, so Raspberry Pi 3 models B, A plus B, and yeah, blah blah. Okay, so we'll pick that. Now we get to choose the operating system. So if you guys remember in our like VPS video, try and guess what operating system we used. Yeah, we used Ubuntu. So like the benefit of a Raspberry Pi is we can actually install many versions of Ubuntu or even other versions of Linux onto a Raspberry Pi. I can install Debian, I can install Arch Linux, I can install literally any version I want to, right? So it's so flexible, right? And I can also install other operating systems. There's not just Ubuntu, right? There's Raspberry Pi OS. There's also these kind of OSs for like media players. There's also like there's also RetroPie for game emulation. So it's very cool. So what we're going to do is go to other general purpose OS, and then we select Ubuntu, right? So here we can pick from many versions of like Ubuntu here, but what we need is just the like Ubuntu server version, right? Because that's actually the exact same version of Ubuntu that we used on our VPS. It's the Ubuntu server version. It runs terminal only, right? So we want that because it's the exact same as our VPS. So what we're going to do is go for like a familiar version, right? So in our VPS video, we use 22.04. LTS, yeah, and then in our first VPS video we use 20.04, so we have those two options there. So I'm going to go for 22.04.4 LTS, and then we'll go for the 64-bit edition. There we go. So server OS with long-term support for blah 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 blah. Okay, so let's go for Ubuntu server 22.04.4. There we go. Okay, and now we choose our storage. So I need to choose my 128 gig SD card, so there we go, mounted as drive H. So if you're doubtful, then check which drive letter your SD card is, otherwise like you might make a mistake and ending up formatting your like existing, you know, like hard drives and stuff. So make sure it is whatever drive letter that your SD card is mounted as. So mine is drive H, so there we go, mounted as H. So like now that we've got all those options set up, let's click on next and see what comes up. So now it's saying, do you want to apply OS customization settings? So on your first sort of install of this window might not come up, but I'm going to press edit settings, and this is the window that should come up. These are the sort of customization settings that will apply to your Raspberry Pi when you install this OS. So there's like first of all, what you need to do is make sure you set a username and password, right? So there we go. I'm just going to set mine as 1234. Just, you know, very simple. And also make sure you set up your Wi-Fi, right? So if you're not using Ethernet and your Raspberry Pi supports Wi-Fi, then make sure you set up your Wi-Fi. And so like obviously I'm going to blur my, you know, like Wi-Fi information here, but make sure you just type in the name of your Wi-Fi like router and then the password, so that it can automatically, you know, like make an attempt to connect to your Wi-Fi network. So that's cool. And then make sure you set your locale like settings. So mine, obviously I'm in the UK, so it's going to be Europe and London, so that's cool. And then let's go to services. So this is what we need. So we need to enable SSH, because if you remember in our VPS video we used an application called Potty. As you can see here, we use this application to remotely connect to our VPS. So what we're going to do is do the same thing for our Raspberry Pi. So in order to do that, we need to enable SSH so that we can connect to our Raspberry Pi by using an application like Potty or like any sort of, you know, like VNC. So what we need to do is, yeah, say use password or use password authentication. So when we use Potty to connect to our Raspberry Pi, it should be the same way that we connect to our VPS. It will ask for our username and then our password, and then it should just sign in. So yeah, make sure you set all this up, and the most important one, please enable SSH. Otherwise, you can't use Potty to to remotely connect to the Raspberry Pi. So once you've done all of that, let's press save. There we go, and then I'm going to press yes. So it's going to say all existing data on the SD card will be erased. Are you sure you want to continue? I'm going to press yes because there's nothing in there. And yeah, it's just going to do its thing. It's going to write like Ubuntu, like it's going to write that image to the SD card, and once we insert the SD card into our Raspberry Pi and power it on, it should just boot up Ubuntu, and it's going to be the same sort of environment as what we had on our VPS. It's just going to be a terminal only sort of environment, right? So once this is done writing, we are going to insert the SD card into our Raspberry Pi and then power it up. Let's take our SD card out, and then what I'm going to do is switch over to my Raspberry Pi. So let's switch over. Okay, so right now it says no signal, and that's because I haven't powered it on yet. So what I'm going to do first is like take the old SD card out, and then we'll insert it in. Okay, here we go. I think, oh, there we go. Okay, yeah, I just have to restart my PC because my capture card just keeps freezing for some reason. I'll definitely have to sort that out. But yeah, there we go. Okay, our Raspberry Pi is now booting up. So let's see what's going on here. So, okay, there's a time and date. Let me just put this into my first screen so that I can actually see what's going on. Yeah, look, like that's pretty interesting, isn't it? Okay, so it's starting up the boot. Okay. Okay, all right. That's very cool. Okay, so it's set up, and now it's asking for our login. So make sure you guys sign in with whatever username and password that you set up. So my username was there we go, and then my password was just 1234 as an example. Like obviously set your password to something more, you know, like more secure, right? And there we go. Okay, yeah, we are finally in. Okay, that's pretty cool. Okay, and looks like, yeah, it is showing you like a bit of info like as you log in. So it's showing you your IP address, your like system load, your usage. So that's pretty cool. I'm definitely going to have to blur my IP address out because we'll be using that to like we'll be using that in like in Potty, right? Okay, so there we go. Okay, so like we've got like a big, yeah, so like we've got like a big in SSH host. That's pretty cool. Okay, so just before we start using Potty, so let me just clear the terminal. There we go. Okay, so what we're going to do is just do a quick update as we did at the start of our VPS like video. So what we're going to do is just go into sudo su. So like this, just to make life a lot easier. Seems like, yeah, it is a bit slow, isn't it? But that's just expected, you know. Like this is not like a really powerful VPS. Like you can't expect some sort of slowdown, right? So let's just do a quick apt get update and apt get, and then upgrade. So this might take a while, but we'll be back after this is done. So this should just update the whole system and just like keep everything up to date for us. And after that, we'll start working on pretty much importing the bot in various different ways, right? So yeah, let's come back to this after it's done. Okay, looks like that update didn't take long. Okay, that's, you know, like I'll take that, you know. Let me just switch to sort of like a dual view here. So there we go. So yeah, so here, so yeah. So like here, you can see both my Raspberry Pi output and my PC. So what we're going to do is clone my example code repo over to my Raspberry Pi, and we're going to try and run it. So since this is a .NET Core project, what we did was install the .NET SDK, right? So we went onto Microsoft's like documentation and just executed their commands to install the .NET SDK. So what we'll do then is just do the same thing on our Raspberry Pi here. So what we're going to do, so let's say sudo, let's say apt get install -y and then .NET SDK and then 8.0. So since I'm on like Ubuntu 22.04, we don't need to install like the repo so like onto this package like manager. So it should just work. I don't think I need to install like any packages. Yeah, so like it just got the .NET SDK. So yeah, so like if you're on Ubuntu 20.04, that's where you need to install that's where you need to install the package repo. Yeah, so add the Microsoft package repo. So if you're on 22.04, you don't need to do that. So once this installs, I guess what we need to do is just install git clone our repo, and then just run it. It's just pretty easy, right? Okay, cool. So like the .NET SDK is now done. So if we just do .NET, we should just get a menu. Yeah, there we go. Like pretty much, yeah. That's that's pretty cool. So like now the next thing we need to do is just install Git. So let's just do a simple apt get install Git, so that we can actually clone our, so we can actually clone our Discord bot onto our Raspberry Pi. It looks like Git is pre-installed. That's pretty unexpected. I didn't expect. Yeah, damn. Okay, so it looks like Git comes pre-installed with the Raspberry Pi version of Ubuntu. That's pretty interesting. Okay, like I never knew that. Okay, okay. So what I'm going to do is switch to my PC. So what we're going to do is try and SSH into our Raspberry Pi using Potty. So let me switch over to my dual screen here, and let's open up Potty here. So what we need is our IP address. So I need to, okay, let me switch back. So there's one more command I need to let you guys know about. Okay, so what we need to do is install like I think network tools, because if we try and do ifconfig, I think we need to install some tools to like execute this command. Yeah, so there's this command called ifconfig, and that allows us to show our IP address. What we need to do is say apt install net tools. That's it. So apt install net tools, and that should install like the necessary commands for us. So and what I'm going to do is execute ifconfig. So not ipconfig, ifconfig, right? So there we go. There is my my IP addresses. So what you guys want to look for is if you are if you are on Ethernet, then you want to look for the Ethernet header, and then if you are on Wi-Fi, then what you need to look for is WLAN 0, and what you need to look for is the iNet IP address. And then what I'm going to do is enter my IP address into Potty. So it's going to be 192.168, and then it's going to be 1 dot something, and that's going to be blurred for me, obviously, because I don't want to expose it. So leave the port as 22, because like the port here doesn't matter, that's right. And then when we click open, we should get a nice window. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we've got, yep. So I'm just going to press accept. And there we go. Okay, this is pretty cool. Okay, so we've got a login as, just like our VPS. So I'm going to type in my username. Okay. Let's hope it recognizes that. Yeah, okay, there we go. It is recognized it. Okay, so let me just type in 1234. And we should be signed into our Raspberry Pi. Yeah, wow. Okay, wow. This is just amazing, man. This is absolutely amazing. So I am remotely connected from my PC to my Raspberry Pi. So now I can actually execute stuff from the Raspberry Pi, right? So what I'm going to do is pretty much clone my Discord bot using Potty, and like the reason I'm doing it from Potty is because then I can actually insert the token in, because bear in mind I can't just copy and paste stuff from one PC and then copy and paste it to a Raspberry Pi, right? Because they are two separate systems, right? Like even though I'm viewing it right here as a as a sort of dual setup, they are not interlinked, right? So this is why we have to use Potty to remotely connect to our Raspberry Pi, so that we can copy stuff from our host PC to the Raspberry Pi, right? It just makes life a lot easier, right? So what I'm going to do is copy and paste the link to our example code, right? So actually, yeah, let me just like get rid of the Raspberry Pi, because now we don't need to see that anymore. So I'm just going to switch to my PC. There we go. Okay, so we are here. So yeah, what we're going to do is let's just clear the terminal first, and as you can see, yeah, it is a bit slow because that is expected of our Raspberry Pi. Okay, so what we're going to do is just say ls. So let's see what directories there are. Okay, so there's no directories in there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just do a git clone, right? So let's do git clone, and then I'm going to paste in not clone, and then paste in my link. Okay, yeah, so like github.com/blah blah blah discord bot example code. Let's see what happens. So if we do ls, then there we go. There's my Discord bot example code. Okay, and then if we do cd Discord bot example code, and then if we just do ls, then there we go. There is all my Discord bot like sort of folders, and there's my like .sln file. It's pretty much like the exact same as what it looks like here. And then if we do, I don't know, so like if we try and view one of the files, so if we do nano and then program.cs to view our file, then there we go. There's our program.cs file. So there we go. There's our public sealed class program. Let me make this bigger actually. Yeah, there we go. Look up like Jesus Christ. Yeah, there we go. There's our program.cs. So like there's all our like methods, like event handlers. Yeah, pretty cool, right? So like that's that's pretty cool. So if I switch over to my Raspberry Pi, and then if I try and do ls on there, the Discord bot also comes up on there. So if we do cd Discord bot example code, and then if we do ls, the same folders are on there. So like honestly, so I can see how I'm doing something remotely on my host system, and then if we do it like, and then if we view the changes on our on our Raspberry Pi, then we can see like those changes were made, right? So I can remotely connect to my Raspberry Pi using Potty, and I can do all sorts of commands from there. I can pretty much control my Raspberry Pi using Potty. So it's pretty cool, right? So what we can do is say like .NET build, and then our Discord bot example project .sln. So if it autocorrects, it's a bit slow. Come on, there we go. Okay, yeah, that is like this Model 3B is not really it. I think like a better model like you want to buy is the Raspberry Pi 4 or even the 5 if you can afford it. So let's build that, and this might take a while. Let's see. Okay, so it seems like if you try and do it by Potty, it's not going to work. It seems like there's some sort of connection error here. So what I'm going to do is try and just do it on what I'm going to do is just try and do it on the actual Raspberry Pi itself, and see if that's the issue. So if we just do ls once again, and then if we do .NET build, and then the SLM project again, then maybe it should work better on here, because it's actually on the yeah, there we go. Okay, right. Okay, yeah. Okay, so like it did work on the Raspberry Pi itself. So looks like it took 2 minutes just to restore the packages from NuGet. That is okay. Yeah, that just shows how slow this thing is. So like yeah. So like we did get build succeeded, and like a lot of the warnings are just like non-null properties, and like stuff that like we don't need to worry about. So okay. If we do ls, then we should have a bin folder. Yep, there we go. So we do have a cd bin, and then we do have a debug .NET 8.0 folder, and then we do have all those like DLL, yes, like DOL files and exe files. So what we need to do is like just before we start this up is copy over the like config.json to this folder. So let me just back out of here. And we need to do this on Potty, because I can't copy over the folder, because like obviously like I can't copy over my token from my PC to the Raspberry Pi, right? I can't manually like do that, right? So let me just switch back to my PC. Yeah. So like SSH is really slow. So what we need to do is like copy the config.json over to like the bin debug folder. So what we need to do first is like get the full directory of that bin debug folder. So what I'm going to do is just exit out of this folder, and then what we're going to do is go to that bin debug folder. So let's say cd bin debug and then .NET 8.0. So like now we're in here. So what we're going to do is use a like sort of command called pwd. So type in pwd, and then that should give you the full full directory of your like debug folder. So now we know that we need to copy it over to this directory here. So home, my name, like Discord bot example code, bin debug .NET 8.0. So now we know where to copy it to. So now let's exit out of that. So now let's go into cd config, and then this is where we get to copy our config.json file. So what we're going to do is use this use the cp command. So let's say ls first, so that we know what we're copying. So let's say cp config.json, and then what we're going to do is copy it over to this folder over here. So I'm just going to copy and paste it. So cp like config.json to the bin debug folder, and it should just copy. So let's quickly check our bin debug folder. So cd bin debug .NET 8.0 ls, and then is there a config.json? Yep, there we go. We have a config.json in there. So now what we can do is say nano config.json, and then we can paste in our token. So what I'm going to do is go into my Discord bot example code, and what I'm going to do is copy the token for this test bot. What I'm going to do is just do a right click, and there we go. I've now pasted my token in, and I've done that remotely, right? So this is a better way. So like this is an easier way of getting information across from your host system to the Raspberry Pi, right? So what I'm going to do is say Control X, and then I'm going to say yes to save. So it's going to ask me, do you want to save the changes? And then I'm going to press Y, and then there we go. It should just write, right? So file name to write config.json. Yes, I want to write it there. So I'm going to press enter. And then there we go. We have now wrote the changes to our Raspberry Pi. So okay, so it seems like the build failed. Okay, so let me just switch over to my Raspberry Pi and do it from there, because I feel like it's to do with the SSH stuff. So let me just switch to my Raspberry Pi. Yeah, and then like we'll just have that dual like view going on there. So that's like so you can see it in real time. So let me just yeah, okay. So let's just clear the terminal. Let's do ls cd discord example code. Okay, and then .NET run, and then the like .sln file. Okay, so there we go. Okay, that is very cool, right? So yeah, we are running our Discord bot over SSH, and there we go. Our YouTube test bot has just come online. Okay, so it was the wrong token, like not for test bot, but YouTube test, yeah. So yeah, like YouTube test is finally online, as you can see there. So now let's do test. So let's execute the test command, and yeah, like you can see that it took a few seconds for it to respond. Let's do help. Yeah, oh boy, it is really slow. It is really slow. Let's just press the button. Yeah, wow. It is really slow, really slow. Oh my gosh. Okay, let me switch back to the main PC, because now we know it's running. Let's try and execute some of the slash commands and see how long that takes. So if we go to like YouTube test, let's just like test out the like calculator add function. So if we just do 10 and 10, then yeah, like look at that. Yeah, it's taking a long time. It's taking a long time. So if you have a bot that's got a lot of traffic, like multiple servers are using it, running it on a Raspberry Pi 3 is not a good idea, because it's very slow. Let's try and do like another command. Let's try and do the like parameters. So let's do test option, type in anything. Let's just do that, and then number option, I'm just gonna type in 100. Okay, so like that was pretty fast. Okay, so like you see the difference when you run your Discord bot on a VPS compared to running it on this Raspberry Pi. I'm sure if you get a Raspberry Pi 4 or 5, then they'll run significantly faster. But there we go, our Discord bot is running on a Raspberry Pi, and that's using .NET SDK. Like it's a method that we already know. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, like we have like successfully got our Discord bot running on our Raspberry Pi. Like this is just one of honestly many methods that you can use to run your Discord bot on a Raspberry Pi, because bear in mind, there's not just the .NET SDK. Like if you're still on .NET Framework, then you can still use like Mono to run your Discord bot, right? So like use NuGet to restore the packages manually, and then use Xbuild, right? So like approach like all of that I showed in my first like VPS like that video. Like there's obviously other methods like using Docker So like that is a form of containerization that I might do in a separate video, because I feel like this is very long, right? So I might do that in a separate video, like by using Docker to run a Discord bot, because that is also a very cool way of building and running your applications in a container, right? So like, don't worry, like, I will do videos on that as well. But that is how you run your Discord bot on a Raspberry Pi. If you have any questions about this video, then make sure you leave a comment below. If you need any help with like any of these videos, then don't hesitate to join our Discord server and ask us questions, right? We are here to help. So like, all the necessary links will be in the description. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channel. Hopefully you guys enjoy this video, and I'll see you lot in the next one. Peace out.